G'day guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Wildkard. Thank you for watching the Wildkard Rugby Show. Like, comment and subscribe. And yes, you are here today because Joe Schmidt has already beaten Eddie Jones' winning record last year by 50%. Yes, Eddie Jones only won 2 games for the entire calendar year last year. And Joe Schmidt delivered 3 in 3 weeks. So yes, really well done. Really happy. But this was in no way clear-cut win for the Wallabies tonight. I was pretty scared for like the first 10 minutes in the second half. And I had to make sure my trusty old mate is ready, right? So I'm ready and good to go. And, you know, the good thing about it is that I don't have to use it this week. But in 2 weeks' time, when we play the Springboks, it is ready to go, right? And I expect 43 points to 12 win for the Wallabies or else, okay? I will not accept anything less than that for the Springboks game. And it's coming, baby. It's coming. So, as we come down to that imminent victory for the Wallabies, I have to talk about the absolute lackluster performance by some of the players out there tonight. There was a sense of, a sense of a lack of urgency, a sense of overconfidence for the Wallabies out there. The little things tonight was just not really that crisp, to be honest. The Wallabies looked really, really good in the first about 20 minutes or so. And maybe they just felt like that was too easy, right? They look really good going forward, look really sharp. And then suddenly they just kind of like taking a bit of a, slowly but surely, taking a bit of a dive in their performance. Ben Donaldson especially, I thought, in that period where the Wallabies had a red card, performed really poorly. Really, this, when you have a player in the bin, it's where you need to lift your performance. Ben Donaldson, his touch finders was just like way too conservative. It was going for like 10 meters, like for a penalty touch finder. Like, come on, like you can do better than that. And lots of drop balls. Ben Donaldson dropped like 3 balls in like 5 minutes or something. And the goal kicking wasn't that great either. He missed the goal right in front. In fact, if you told me that Ben Donaldson was getting paid to throw the game early in the second half, I would probably agree with you. It was that bad. It was that outrageously bad from Donaldson. Way below his performance for the Western Force, and I was very, very disappointed to see that from him. Now let's talk about the red card. This was the 20-minute red card is in play for I think all the games this weekend, at least for the Wallabies and for the All Blacks games. So the 20-minute red card, it's not just 20-minute red card for every, there's a lot of misunderstanding of how it actually functions. 20-minute red card, it's just only red cards for like accidental, red cards, like, accidental head-on-head collision, that sort of stuff. And there is still full red card for very egregious offenses, like if you were to punch somebody in the face, right? So the Daugunu went in for a charge down on a kick, and he kind of, as it was coming down, he kind of clipped the goal kicker on the head, on the face with his knee. Now, this could actually be a full red card, like full send-off, and not just a 20-minute red card, because the fact that he's made a very reckless attempt to charge the ball down, and he's actually connected on the player's face with his knee. So that is a very, very dangerous move. But the difference here is the fact that Daugunu turned his hip. Did he try to pull back? So in the interpretation of Super Rugby's red card rules, this is considered an accidental, impact to a player's head from the knee. He's tried to put himself back and he failed to do so. So in this case, it's considered worthy of a 20-minute red card and not a full reckless act of hitting someone else's head with your knee, which would have warranted a full send-off in the current laws of the red card laws that is operated in Super Rugby, which is what we were using tonight. So a lot of people might argue this wasn't even a red card at all. A lot of people might argue, this was just a complete accident and the Georgian player might have dipped into it with his face. But I think that, it is still Daugunu had the onerous to make sure, as the player that's charging the ball down, to make sure that he wasn't putting himself in a reckless position that could have caused an injury. So that is just the guidelines of the World Rugby nowadays. It's up to the players, the defender, essentially, to be careful, to not be reckless when it comes to these things and not cause any injuries to anybody. So that was a 20-minute red card to Daugunu, and the Reds really struggled in that 20 minutes. Like I said, especially Donaldson, and the once, and the most concerning part for me is that it's not just Donaldson. Everything else around the field was a little bit slower. Noticeably, the line speed was slower. The urgency of the breakdown. In fact, just before that, there's kind of like a curve before Daugunu was sent off. The urgency, the breakdown was off. The chase kick was not really there. The just little things as well, like when Georgia scored during this period, they were like right in front of the goalpost. Sure, you're probably not gonna get the charge down, but you should still try. You should still try, right? And what I was noticing is that the Georgian goal kicker actually had the ball really close to the goal line, so he was about 6 meters, 7 meters away from the goal when he was taking these kicks. So the Wallaby player could actually potentially charge it down because how close he was, but nobody even tried, which is the main thing, that nobody actually even tried to charge the goal down. It was really disappointing. So just this little stuff like that would have made it's the intent that is the issue. It's not the fact that they were, it's not the fact that whether they're gonna get a charge down or not. It's the intent. The intention to not do that was a bit of an issue. Now with the positive of the stuff, the Wallabies did improve on the areas that they were lacking. The more defense was better. The more attack was also utilized. A bit of variation as well. Still a bit hesitant to use the more too much. The Wallabies likes to break the ball away and just crash into the 10 channel. But they did able to execute the more a little bit better. The physicality was a little bit off as well at times, but they did pick up the physicality later in the second half, especially when Donaldson wasn't performing. The forwards kind of just like pulled the game in with physicality and winning up front and getting that dominance back into the game, and finally sealing it 40 points to 29. Now there was another game play yesterday between the Reds and the Wales. I thought the Welsh actually put up a stronger team than they did against the Wallabies. Really, really well done by the Reds team. A lot of people playing out of position. James O'Connor back. He had a couple games in Super Rugby and he's out of a contract now for the game. He looked really, really good. Was veteran, making good decisions, kicked 100% of the goals. I got it here actually. Really, really well done. The Wales really took him to the dying stages of the game to finally pull away a 1-point win, 35-36. In fact, the Wallabies probably had, not Wallabies, the Reds probably had had a chance to potentially kick a penalty in a dying state, after the hooter, because the Welsh looked a bit offside to me in the end. But the most interesting part is the Reds was actually better than the Wallabies. They were able to dominate the Welsh in the more attack and the more defense. So really well done, despite missing a lot of their key players in their big forward pack. So yeah, the Wallabies still has a huge way to go from getting that international standard when it comes to the rolling more, to the line-out execution. But definitely still a little bit of improvement towards the right direction there. One of the biggest issue out of this Reds game at night was the disallowed try to James O'Connor. This is something that has been an ongoing issue. I've made numerous videos about this, and the best way to explain what happened is Mr. Wang Barnes, I think he's the most capped test referee ever, explaining how when it comes to scoring a try, how what they call separation from the ball means when it comes to deciding whether a try is scored or not. So this was Barnes explaining what separation means when it comes to scoring a try. And this is exactly what happened in the game, and the referee made the wrong decision from the Australian referee. So let's take a look at what Barnes says here.
When the ball comes away from the hand, might leave the hand but rolls down the arm, maybe even down to the chest, and then it is pressed down. So no separation from the hand to the arm, and then pressed down. That would be a try. That's all you need.
So very clear what Bunzi just said. That's what's all you need to be a try. Now let's have a look at what happened here with James O'Connor. Almost exactly what Bunzi explained. The ball rolls down his body and is pressed down. There's no separation between his body and the ball. Right? He definitely lost the ball here. Lost control of the ball here. But he did not drop the ball. The ball did not leave contact from his body. And he was grounded. There was no actual separation from his body and the ball. And it was grounded with pressure. This should have been a try. This has been an ongoing issue with Super Rugby, and as you can see, Barnsley has explained this, how that's the actual law of rugby, and this has been out for 2 years, and the rugby referees in Australia still failed to understand how that works. So very disappointing to see that against the Reds on last night as well. But anyway, with that being said, let's have a look at. So the Georgians. Let's quickly go through what the Georgians did. So Georgians was really under the pumps really early. The physicality from the 4-pack was just a little bit lacking. The structure was a little bit off. But the Georgians were happy to roll the dice. They were happy to just kick the ball down the field, and they were chasing it with determination. And in fact, the Wallabies letting those big kick chase tries because they were, like I said, they're just being lazy, right? Everybody was just like looking at each other thinking the ball's going to go out, and the ball didn't go out. And the Georgian players had to scoop it up and runs in for the try. Just again, like I said, just like the mental laziness really cost the Wallabies, and led the Georgians back in with a shot with some very, very good kick and chase, and just a bit of a venture in their attack, got themselves almost back into the game. So 6 spot tries to 4 for the Wallabies, 529 run minutes to the Wallabies, so the Georgians 295. 12 turnovers against the Wallabies, the Georgians 7. So again, Wallabies probably need to work a bit better there in the turnover count. 25 missed tackles for the Wallabies, 23 for the Georgians, and Georgia had to make more tackles as well, so Georgia actually had a better tackle completion rate than the Wallabies. Kicks in play, 19 for the Wallabies, 21 for Georgia. Like I said, Donaldson's kicking game was really off as well. He was just punting the ball down the field, and there was just like no one's pressuring, and it just like take a run, pick your space. Really, really poor done there. And one of the conversions Donaldson missed as well, pretty much right in front. Should not have missed that one. There was a couple missed goals from Georgia as well. Really not that great overall. Lineouts, Wallabies got 100%. Without Mario Toji disrupting the lineout. Not Mario Toji, just Mario Toji. Without the Welsh, the George, without the Welsh lineout operators, like, well, who was it? What's his name? The guy's dad is the coaches. But anyway, so without the Welsh lineout pressure, the Wallabies was actually getting 100% of the lineout. There was one lineout lost for the Georgians. What was his name? God, Tane, whatever his name is. Anyway, scrum was one scrum loss for Georgia. I thought the scrum from the Georgia, I was expecting a bit more from the scrums from the Georgians, because they are like one of the nations that prides themselves on their scrummaging. The youngsters from the Wallabies did really well in their scrummaging, was able to counter that. 12 penalties conceded by the Wallabies, a little bit higher than normal. Again, a lot of it just kind of like lazy, kind of like lack of concentration. It's not really because there was so much pressure from the Georgians and you were conceding penalties. A lot of it just like laziness around the breakdowns, laziness in getting back in on side position. And there was 13 penalties against Georgia. There was one yellow card for repeated penalties, and one of the player kind of like slapped the ball out of the hands of the number 9 just in front of the goalpost. And that was kind of like the difference between the two teams when it comes to the stats. But let's go through what happened in the game, and let's go through some of the points scoring for a quick recap. So there was a really early penalty, 2 minutes right from the get-go. Georgia came out with an early 3 points. 5 minutes into the game, the Wallabies was doing some really good little short offloads, just straightening up with the running lines. And there was got really inside the Georgia 22. There was, again, just a little short ball from Len Ikitau as the first receiver. Short ball to Hunter Paisami, who punched a nice little angle straight through the defense. 3 points to 7 to the Wallabies. 12 minutes in the game, again, some really nice tie running, crashing over the advantage line again and again and again. Got really close to the try line, and eventually Rot Valentini, pick and go. He spun around the defender, dunked the ball down. 12 points to 3. This was a pretty easy kick. Donaldson missed this one, and I was like, oh boy, what's wrong with him tonight? And little did I know, that was only the beginning of what was way worse to come. 19 minutes into the game, another Wallabies set move. This was pretty far out, like maybe 35, 40 meters out almost. And there was a line out. The ball kind of just, Fraser McDermott just ran. There was like a bit of dummy more. Fraser McDermott running around center field, crashed into the 10 position. And McDermott got the ball, picked up and ran for himself, got really close. And then eventually more pick and goes. And Kailea gets the try on the board. He debuted for the Wallabies this year, so really well done. 19 points to 3, and it was just looking way too easy. Everything the Wallaby did was turning into points, was looking quite good. 31 minutes into the game, the Georgians were back in front, putting some pressure on the Wallabies, and you can noticeably see the Wallabies are just like, getting a bit lazy, getting a bit overconfident. The Georgia was almost scored right away with some pressure, and they would spread the ball out wide, and it was deemed that the wide ball was forward, and then there was they're taking a tap from the penalty. The piling in, get another penalty advantage, couldn't score, and Georgia go again for another tap, and again, this time piling in. Eventually, one guy picked and go. What's his name? Babunashvili went in for the try for the Georgia. 19 points to 10. 35 minutes into the game, Daugunu got sent off for a red card. Just before halftime, the Wallabies get some more try, something we did not see at all pretty much against the Welsh. There was a short line out. The ball was thrown in without anyone jumping. It just went straight for the front. And a really quick setup for a maul right at the front of the line out. And Fraser McRae pretty much had the maul running behind him, rammed in for the try. 26 points to 10 halftime. So it's all looking really, really good for the Wallabies, even with the play in the bin. Not an issues. Second half, things just really starting to fall apart here. Georgia, 2 minutes into the second half, there was a nice little break, center field from the Georgia, like a half break from a Georgian player. And there were just some really nice offloads. Actually not nice. Not like there was not. What's his name? Niniashvili. He basically like broke through and he tried to offload, and the offload was knocked down by Donaldson, and then Nini like pretty much back to Niniashvili, and he kicked the ball through. And as he kicked the ball through, the ball ricocheted off of Tom Wright's foot, and he bounced back into his hand. I know how that worked. I know it's like crazy, and he's just like, all right, thanks very much, and ran in for the try. So 26 points to 17. Georgia got one back there. 46 minutes into the game, like 4 minutes later, Wallabies had a line out. The McDermott took the ball and ran, crashed the 10 channel himself. Here's a number 9. He probably should not have done that. He got held up and stripped in the process, and Georgia got the ball out wide inside their own goal line, and they just kicked the ball down the field. And you can see there was Tom Wright and Darby Lancaster literally like pointing at each other, like, you get this one, you get this one. And only for Tabu Tsadeze, who was chasing with determination, outrunning both Tom Wright and Darby Lancaster to score a try, scooping this one up for a try. 26 points to 24. Suddenly, this is looking really bad. And after this, there was so many knock-ons by Ben Donaldson. There was a penalty where Ben Donaldson was supposed to find touch. He literally kicked like 10 meters forward. How did he manage to only kick 10 meters forwards? It was like watching a 12-year-old fighting a touch. He just went like straight out almost. It was just like bizarre what was happening with him out there. 52 minutes into the game, the Wallabies finally getting more pressure on the board. Niniashvili deliberately knocked the ball down out of the halfback's hand. Got sent off for the yellow card. 53 minutes into the game, following this yellow card, Wallabies went for a line out, and this time Fraser McRae swept around, crashing through the middle of the field. He like passed the ball back into as he was getting tackled, he passed the ball out to Wilson. Wilson ran down the field, throwing the ball back infield to McRae. McRae got tackled, popped the ball off the ground. Nick Frost crashed the ball forward, 1 meter short, and then Rob Valentini followed up, pick and go, try time. 33 points to 24, just all forwards doing great job there and getting that through. Finally, 60, what happened here? 60 minutes into the game, the Wallabies looked like they had a penalty. They went for the line out. Again, they went for the maul. Really well done. They looked like the Wallaby had a score with Fraser McRae, and it looked like just a little bit of execution issues. Robbie Valentini, as he's dropping the player down from the lift to the line out, moving himself in front of the ball receiver to block off the maul, and that is a obstruction. So no try. But Wallabies did have another penalty coming up, so they went for another line out. They went for another maul. This time executed exactly the same thing. Fraser McRae ran through, just got pushed through for the try. This time without the obstruction. So really well done. 62 minutes in the game, and that was the last point for the Wallabies. And finally, 68 minutes into the game, what happened to this one? Oh yeah, there was again Georgia were just attacking, really nice pressure from the Wallabies goal line, and then the ball just spread out wide. Tabut Satze, whatever his name is, went into the corner for the Georgians, 68 minutes. But yeah, the Wallabies in the last 10 minutes or so was under a bit of pressure. The Georgia was really close to the try line a couple times, and the Wallabies was able to defuse that to get themselves out of the trouble. So anyway, that's pretty good. 40 points to 29, still a good win. Lots of little areas. I don't think Donaldson will have a spot in the Rugby Championship in any sort of capacity following this performance. And let me know your thoughts. Like, comment, and subscribe. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys later for the Springboks. Springboks versus Portugal. Cheers.